Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show. That's me, Mark Attwood. Descriptions, link in the box below. Can't speak today. In the box below, there's links there. Email list, most important. There's other links. Check them out. Adventures of Cosmic Soup. This has been an interesting week. I've been really tired today. I had a QHHT session. That's quantum healing hypnosis technique yesterday. It took about 4 hours, and I was taken through multiple dimensions, multiple lives, past and future. And wow, if you can find yourself a QHHT practitioner near you, I highly recommend it, because I think the number one thing we should all be doing right now is finding out who we really are, not from an ego perspective, but from a perspective of understanding your place in the world and getting ready for 5D, or 4D to 5D. I mean, some of us are already up there, but I'm seeing a lot of 3D behavior, and people are clinging on to the side of the swimming pool instead of diving into the water. My advice is just dive in the water and see how you get on. If you drown, you drown. Who cares? You're an eternal soul. Who cares? Anyway, today I've got a great guest who is a spiritual leader. She's English. She's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and she's also an expert in happiness. And I thought we could all do with a piece of that. So please welcome Amelia Love. Hello, Amelia.
Hi, Mark. So lovely to see you. It's our first interview together, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we just missed each other for a couple of years, but that's okay. It's all divine timing.
The timing is divine. The timing is perfect.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful because me and Mark have so many mutual friends, and it's so lovely when that happens. We're both great friends with Charlie Ward and Lucy Davis, Al Pasoni. So it just melds so quickly. You know, it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, well, it's great to finally meet you. I know I've been looking at some of your work over the last few years. You've been a busy girl.
Yes, as you have too, sir. I mean, I feel like we have so much to talk about, even just in your intro.
I've not been a busy girl.
No, not busy girl. That's true. You've been a busy boy.
I identify as a busy girl now, so please.
Stop it. But it was funny, even just in your intro, my angels were like this, grabbing onto words, and like I literally needed to grab my pen in time, because literally as you were speaking, just the frequency and the resonance was literally where I get my energies and my information from too. And so it was just amazing. I'm really, really excited about this.
Good. Well, what do I want to talk about today? Because you've got, there's loads of things we could talk about, but I think we had a little chat before, and I think we're both kind of seeing that there are issues at this stage of the war that maybe we should bring up and help people to cope with.
Yes, I agree, because the thing is there are still people that are in denial that there is a spiritual telepathic war taking place. And so in any war, if you are in denial that a war's taking place and you just go outside and go do your shopping and wear your sun hat and skip down the road in the middle of Afghanistan in the middle of bombs blowing up, might not be that safe. Same kind of thing. The fact is there is a very, very real war between dark and light happening right now, more intense than it's ever been in this galaxy. A lot of people don't realize that. This is the most intense, because normally at this point we've already failed, and then they have to reset and start again 20,000 years, 20,000+ years, we start over again. This time we're winning. This time we win. But it means that we're now up against a very strong dark energy that is trying to prevent us in moving forward. And so because of that, I feel like a lot of people during their earlier development, when they were moving from 3D up to 4D, they were using pendulums and doing this sort of whole new age thing. And it was going really well for them, like their vibrations going up. And then suddenly now we're in this place where the warfare that's happening, where we can't see and where we can hear, but we don't know whether we're hearing ourselves or hearing something that's trying to misguide us. Now things are serious. Now, if you're aware that that's where we are, then you have a chance of working your way through it and even doing it with a smile on your face. But if you're in denial, you're just going to literally be pushed around like a plastic bottle in rough ocean.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that. Just looking at some of the social media channels and some of my friends' feedback throughout the week, people are being aggressive again, and and putting people down, and just there's a lot of information out there that's conflicting as well, and I think this causes distress and anxiety in people, and that causes them to have weak points in their armor.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you said, like, and what I'm hearing is aggression versus conflict. So aggression, I think it's really important for all of us, everyone watching, to be able to discern and sense subtle aggression when it is displayed to you, and to not just put it under the rug. Aggression is aggression. Now, at the same time, what will sound like I'm conflicting, and that is conflict. Don't be scared of conflict, because a lot of the time with conflict, sometimes people have to stand up for themselves. Sometimes a good fuck off is just what a person needs to do in their life towards someone that's been hurting them, and actually meaning it and actually seeing it through and removing that person from their life. So at the same time, I think it's important that we're very aware of aggression, because sometimes it's very passive aggressive. It's very subtle. It's very important that people really look at who's around them, because your frequency will be dictated by what is in your environment. There's no way around that. Even people such as myself and Mark and Lucy, if we're in a room and there's a lot of really negative energy, it's going to start pulling our frequency too. So nobody is immune.
Yeah.
But the important thing here is a lot of people ignore aggression and make excuses, while at the same time, a lot of people are being scared of conflict, scared of standing up for themselves, scared of saying no, scared of saying, yes, I like that, and I don't need you to like it too. That kind of thing. I'm sometimes accused, if I put someone in their place, or if I do it quite aggressively, but righteously aggressively, with a completely centered heart and mind and soul, and knowing that this is how I feel and I will not later regret it. If I put someone in their place and they say to me, oh, you're not a spiritual teacher, you're swearing, you're angry. And it's like, no, spiritual teachers are not meant to just sit there cross-legged on the floor humming anymore. So real spiritual teachers are warriors. We're at the front of the army going, rah! So, sometimes we're going to have to let out a little bit of a conflict discussion.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of that in the last 2 years. When I started the channel, I got things like, you can't swear, you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't speak to this person, you can't speak to that person. I was like, I said, fuck off. I'm just going to do what I want. Because, which is pretty much what I've done my whole life anyway.
Yes.
but now I do it in public.
Yeah, basically you're speaking my words. Exactly. And this is why people love you, because they can feel the honesty and the authenticness and the genuineness. I used to be a rapper, and so when people say, oh, you shouldn't be swearing, I'm like, I'm speaking for emphasis. Did you fucking understand me? Okay, yeah. Well then it worked. Because again, who's making these rules? Who made these rules of how we should behave and what we should do? And in fact, the person that thinks that they know what those rules are probably the ones that are the most lost. Because, gosh, I have no idea where they're seeking their leadership from. Certainly not themselves.
Well, the subject of spiritual snobbery has come up in the last few weeks for me with a number of different people. It's been very interesting because when I really started opening up spiritually, and I started going to Reiki classes, and I went to meditation classes, and I tried to do yoga, but failed every time I did it. Ayahuasca retreats, peyote retreats, and did all these things. And I always felt like, that how you felt the first day at school and you didn't quite fit in. And I was like looking around. Every time I went to these things, I was looking around going, these people are judging me because of my clothes, because they wear spiritual clothes, Oh,
yeah, you have to have the look, darling,
Yeah.
How come your nails painted? Are you wearing makeup? What, you're a spiritual guru? Hello.
I know. So it's popped up again because of some things that are going on here. And I'm like, how did they get that way? Because they've kind of been, the new age thing was really a construct of the bad guys.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Can we just pause in a moment of silence? Because I'm the only person that I've heard saying this until now. So I'm just, my angels are like, carry on.
I'm getting the goosebumps.
Yes.
Because I never know what I'm going to say in these chats, and I'm guided to this because it's all in the same frequency right now. And they got corralled, because like they had to do it, right? The bad guys had to do it. They had to create the new age and the hippie thing and everything else because Same with the Bible, same with The Secret, same with Think and Grow Rich. They're all limited hangouts. So people were, they knew that people were still looking for something spiritual, so they had to build a corral to put them in.
Yes.
And it's a limited hangout. So they're getting, you know, and then their and that's what's been really interesting as well about the last couple of years, the amount of different information coming from different people channeling. Now, I remember when I was learning Reiki and we were learning the symbols and about the guy in the cave, the symbols came to him. And I just instinctively said to the teacher, I said, how do you know that's come from a place of high purpose?
Yes.
Right. And she looked at, she was a bit cross. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right. And I was like, I don't, you know, because I'm very intuitive like that. And, you know, I was healing people with my hands 30, 40 years ago as a kid. I didn't need Reiki to do it, you know, and so really, but I had to go down these paths to pick up this information for myself and learn it for myself. And I'm not slagging off any Reiki masters out there at all.
But just let's be aware, if one turns the other way, quite dangerous.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because what we've got is wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels within wheels, right? It's like double, triple, quadruple bluffing going on left, right, and center. And I'm talking, I'm not talking necessarily from individuals. I'm talking about the energies and the you know,
the war room plans.
Yeah.
The plans coming in from hell. Can I just like answer to what you've said already, because there's so many things just jumping back here. So when you said about how it was created, the New Age was created, this is something that I announced like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm just prepared for all the flack. Like, I'm calling out what's going on in the Christian community, I'm calling out what's going on in the New Age, and I'm just walking down the path down the middle with everyone throwing rocks at me, and it's okay, you know, I don't mind, it's my job. But the New Age was created because they knew these gifted ones were going to come down here, these girls with these skills, these abilities, and the church was not embracing those people. So what was created was a little gang and a club for them. But here's where the controversial information comes in for anyone who's still all into all that stuff. I've actually been doing a lot of study on spiritual warfare from the Christian side and the Catholic side. And what's going on is that it's been a setup, because the New Age girls, they're all encouraged to raise their frequency, everything like that. There's some stuff going on with the yoga and the serpent stuff. There's some stuff there that people have to be careful of. Again, just use your own discernment. But the pendulums, they used to work. They were meant to work for a period of time when we were moving through 3rd and 4th. But now we're moving from 4th to 5th and our enemy is in 6th. Those things don't work anymore. So you will use a pendulum. You'll use it.
Sorry, you just gave some startling new information then I need to come back to.
Okay, yep, do. So the pendulums were meant to work for a while so people would learn to trust them. And so then what would happen is at this crucial time in the last 2 years, when you needed to make a decision that would be life-changing, you were then given the wrong information so that your path would start going downhill and you'd be moving into self-destruct. So I want people to be aware of that. Same thing with tarot cards. The tarot cards have certain symbols on them that are being used as portals for the dark energies to come into your house and attack you at night. You wonder why you're having all these nightmares and all these negative thoughts. It's you've actually got portals in your house. Thirdly, you've got gifts in your house that you've been making friends with all these new agey people and you don't know what was really controlling them. They've given you gifts. They've sent you jewelry and stones and books that you didn't even ask for. Those things are in your house. Guess what? Portals for darkness to come in to attack you now at this stage in the war. So the New Age, its intentions, the people in it, their intentions are beautiful. They want to be in great shape. They want to have lovely friends. They want to feel at peace. They want to smile. They want to love nature. They want to be all in with nature and everything's wonderful. But please understand, they trapped you. They trapped you with it. And then with the church, there was something you said where you said that you went to these certain ceremonies and things and you felt like a fish out of water. You didn't really fit in. I'm the same. I tried going to a church in America. Oh my God. I went to a church. They asked me but here's the thing. I love Jesus. Jesus is my favorite thing on the entire planet. Do you know why? Because he is the strongest warrior against the dark. I'm telling you, that name makes them shit themselves. So Jesus is the man. Don't get me wrong. But I went to this church and they asked me when I was saved. This woman literally had a demon in her. I was not well that day. I'd gone to church because I actually thought it'd be quite nice to have them pray for me because I wasn't feeling well. I had some kind of health stuff going on. And so I went there. That was the intention of going. But this woman basically for 2 hours grilled me, trying to get me to agree to things that she thought I should agree to, sign a little book, all this stuff. And then luckily afterwards, I have a pastor that I call my advisor, who is a client and who's now a coach. And I spoke to her and she said, Amelia, what you don't understand is all the people in the church, what they want is a relationship with God. What they want is to hear God. You already hear him. You don't need to go there because he's already with you. You hear him all day, every day.
This is your church?
Yes. Here, right here. And so, so I had to respond just to that. And then just like what you were saying is, people have to get cleverer because like during World War II, when there was like double spy, back, double spy, double spy, sending dead bodies that were actually this person with this bit planted that has this person and this, all this. That is what warfare looks like. People think warfare is just two people fighting with swords. It's so complicated now. And that's what Mark's referring to. And so you've got to have your head in that space. And I know a lot of people, it'll give them a headache and they'll be like, I don't, I don't want to fathom it. You got no fucking choice because we're in it. We're all in it. We're here. So, back over to you, Mark. Sorry, that was just my responses to the things you'd said.
No, that's cool. I'm just trying to pull something up while I am looking at my notes, because I think it would be very good for anybody watching this to go and have a look at, see how I'm filling in the space while I'm trying to find the stretching.
Okay, while you're finding
there we go. There we go.
Yes,
Sun Tzu on the art of war.
Yeah.
Because
our art of war, we have to study this stuff, except the enemy is in the etherical dimensions with absolutely horror is its name. Horror is its home. You're not even dealing with humans. The art of war was based upon human. We're battling demons now.
Yeah, well, I have been for a long time. But the reason why I think people should have a look at this is because, social media is the reason I use social media is because it's a barometer. And I find it interesting to see how people respond to different things. And I put things up that I find of interest, and I put something up the other day, and I think it was a picture of Greta Thunberg on the cover of a magazine with some black goo on her, and basically the imagery of this magazine cover had everything in it that people need to know about if you had the eyes to see it. And somebody put up, "Oh, this is fear porn," and I said, well, I am not afraid of anything, including demons. So I have no fear in me. So when I see these things, it doesn't create fear porn. It isn't fear porn for me, and it shouldn't in you either. If it does trigger that fear in you, then you've got to deal with something you haven't dealt with. You've got to deal with some shadow work that you haven't. That's why I said at the top of the show, everybody needs to find out who they are, because once you realize you are an eternal spirit, what is there to be afraid of? And you've got God on your side. You can't lose, right?
I love it. Honestly, Mark, you're just everything you're saying. This is interesting. Like, I feel like this is why we had to wait till now. We had to wait till right now. Even like I texted 107 to say to him, let's do a chat about demons, because I watched his latest video and he was talking about demons, and I was like, oh, because I met him the other night at dinner with Charlie and the guys from one of the other Patriot things. But this is what I'm saying. Even in America, like the Patriot, the political, it's all connecting with the multi dimensions and the shadow work. We're all becoming one now. That is exactly what is happening. And it's so funny because, yes, I'm the happiness guru. So people are like, oh, what? Where's all the happy stuff? Well, here's the thing. Your natural state is happiness, but you inherited some generational stuff. You still have childhood stuff, and you have some adult stuff that's blocking you from your natural state. Now that stuff is dark stuff. That's your inner demons. So for me to be a happiness guru, I'm really a shadow master.
Yeah.
You have to if the ability to remove the shadow is what creates the happiness. Happiness doesn't come from massaging someone and making them feel like, oh,
That's quite nice though.
Well, you know what I mean, massaging someone's ego and just being like,
right.
oh, you're pretty, and la la la. They go to a retreat and it's all like positive women's empowerment, woo-hoo! And then you go home and everything's just the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same. If it doesn't feel tough, it ain't doing shit.
That is the problem with all this spiritual stuff. It is quite hard. But I mean, when I first started all this, I had no idea. I got the call, right? Because I've been talking about all this stuff for 10 years on Facebook, but I'd never been on YouTube talking about any of this stuff because I have an online marketing business and I thought that would destroy it. But then in the middle of 2020, I got this. It was, you need to start going on YouTube. And I listened to it and I went on, and I think I went on Charlie's show and I started talking about demons. That's the first thing I talked about. I had no idea it was going to come out. It just came out. And at the end of the show, I was like, oh God, I'm all over the internet talking about demons. What the fuck?
Check out my Instagram. That's all I do.
Yeah. And it's been, but then I got loads of emails from people saying that happened to me. That happened to me. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Because I always thought it was just me and I was a weirdo, because they came to me in my bedroom when I was 3 or probably earlier. And I've learned so much since then, even about this guy, which I find really interesting. Do you recognize this guy? Oh, there he is.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Well, he's been attached to me since I came into this realm.
I know a few things about you that I need to talk about when we come off as well, because they're things that are just coming in just now when we're talking, but they're showing it with a black line around it. Like this is like in war stuff where they put the black line over writing. They just showed me something. So there's a connection with that and you, and I see that. And I see what's going on with that, but they're saying that's whatever. What's the wording when things are, when you have a war description, a war document, and then they take certain parts out and you're not allowed to see it, and they say that is blah blah.
Redacted.
Yes, yeah. I just got some information, but they said it's redacted. But what was interesting was what you said about the fear. You see, because everything is about fear. The same thing, everything's about love. Everything is about fear. And if you were someone who wore a mask and encouraged the mask, then you are in fear. If you took the thing, you are in fear. If you are in a relationship that's toxic, you're in fear. Sorry, I know you want to complain about it and be a victim of it and tell all your friends and how sorry, make them feel sorry for you. But the reality is you're in fear because you fear what's on the other side of escaping from it instead of just getting out and loving yourself. So fear is everything when you think about it. And it's almost like if you don't realize we're in war, then you can't fight the war. If you don't realize that you're battling fear and that fear is the weapon that the dark side uses, it's their favorite weapon because it's so powerful. You become like a zombie when you're in fear. You're completely manipulatable like a puppet. And so what I love about what you said, and again, this is so refreshing for me because I haven't met someone that's similar to me exactly in the way that me and you are. And so it's wonderful for everyone to get to see this for the first time. But when you say that you have no fear, there's very few people that are like that. For example, I'll walk down my hallway and my dog will be barking and biting at things that are not there, literally. Then I'll pick him up and he'll continue to be snapping and biting at things that aren't there. I'm walking down the corridor smiling.
They are there.
Yes, well, that's because, and I'm walking down the corridor smiling because I know my power. And my dog can be snapping it, but I know my power. And when I tell people that, they're like, well, why aren't you scared? I'm like, of what?
Of what?
Of what? Because this is the thing, is that it's not, you see, first you have to understand the enemy. When you understand it as deeply as me and Mark do, you don't act like it's not there. You don't act like it's insignificant. You don't pretend it's powerless. You know what it can do. But you also know who you are. You know what's on your side. You know what you're capable of. And you know its limitations. When you know its limitations, you can win.
Absolutely.
So it really is a lot of education. And I guess that might be what me and you are supposed to be doing, is just because we've both been talking about demons a lot. No one else would. There I am on my Instagram just talking about demons. And people are like, I'm literally calling out demons. I'm threatening demons. doing all the things. I mean, I called out the devil himself a few years ago, which I'm intelligent enough now with the warfare that's going on to know that I can't actually take him on all just by myself. Like, I'm actually aware of that. But,
I've tried that.
Yeah, I tried. But there's a team of us. So, you know, and we know how this thing goes. We know how this thing ends. It ends well. So, but yeah, it's really important that people don't underestimate the enemy and that they know the enemy.
Oh, I just, you've made me think of something I'd like to share. There's loads of other things I want to bring up, but
yeah,
I just want to show this for anybody that's never seen this. And you may have not seen it either. I don't know. Let's have a look. Yeah, watch this. Chuck Schumer, a demonic entity if ever I saw one. Watch this. Who's he talking to?
There's something else as well. Can you see the guy directly above his head right now in the grey suit? So no, the one behind that person. So there, stop, him, there. Can you see that top right, go long?
Over here.
So go back, because you'll be able to see what I see. Start again and just pause there for a moment. Okay, now you've got your guy walking. Pause now, and then look above his head and above his head, the guy in the grey sitting down. That's a demon.
Oh yeah. Ew.
And it literally looks like a skeleton. Now watch it playing and watch him, and you'll see he looks dead. That man isn't alive. There, that one is not alive. See? See? Can you see it? That man.
This one's face is weird as well.
But yeah, so that's the thing. It's that people are just so in denial of this stuff.
Well, yeah, they are. But I've been saying the same thing consistently. Don't be afraid of them. Learn how to deal with them. They're actually really easy to get rid of. I mean, you and I have never spoken before really today, and you probably don't know this story. So apologies if you're watching this video, and I've told this before. But during 2020, the attacks were unreal. I mean, they were physical. I had them on my one night. I had to climb up the stairs on my hands and knees because they were on my back.
They're getting you different because you're a man. Yeah, they're getting you different. There's different weaknesses or different ways that, and they'll actually come for your strengths. Once you've gotten rid of your weaknesses, they'll come for your strengths. So that's what they were doing. They were coming for your strength.
Yeah, but I'm still here. That's why
exactly.
I want people to understand this. I'm still here. And the other thing I learned, Amelia, is that all of that last 2 years has tempered me in the same way as you temper steel.
Yes.
So the more attacks they have given, the stronger I've got.
Can I add to that? With me, exactly the same, totally different tests and different attacks, but I just get my notepad out. So every time they do things, they're teaching me more. I've been studying the darkness since 2009. So I found out all the weird things that were going on back then. But I literally, like, every time they do it, they're teaching me. And so it's reaching a point where they're getting frustrated with me now, because every time they do something, not only do I learn from it, I'm able to condense it down into a fashion where I can describe it in a way where people can understand. And then I start broadcasting it to the world. And so it's like, they're like, how do we attack her and shut her? Like, how they're a bit confused at this point. They are a bit confused about how to attack me, because it keeps, like, they keep shooting themselves in the foot, you know, because it's not that clever, but it's clever. Let me get this right. What they do is not impossible to figure out, but you have to have put in the time to figure it out first. So something I'm feeling guided to talk about, I know a lot of your audience is in the UK, but for those in the US, because obviously, again, there's a lot of strong religious background in the US. It's a very different thing.
My audience is in the US, actually.
Oh, perfect. Well, then that's why I'm being told. My angel just told me this is really important that I say this. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm actually a Christian. I was told to get baptized in 2018. God literally said, go get baptized. I said, what does that mean? He said, Google it. I went on Google, found out it was to do with water. And then I found a church nearby and I called them and I was like, hi, God told me to get baptized. What does that mean? And they're like, do you want to go for lunch? So I go and have lunch. And then they were like, I told them who I was and what I do. And then 2 weeks later, they said, we'll dunk you with my, that wasn't their words, but she was like, me and my husband and my daughter's going to get done at the same time and we'll do it. So I am a Christian and I love Jesus. And what I've found through the warfare right now is that if you don't know how to call on Jesus's name, that may well be your problem if you're suffering right now. And a really important thing that I learned, this is so important. Let's imagine you have children, you have pets, and you talk about how they're your whole world and they're your heart and you love them and they're your whole heart. You see, the devil is coming for your heart. The devil is coming for your home. The home is where the heart is. So what's happening is, if you ever say those words like, oh, so-and-so is my whole world, or I love them, make sure you say Jesus Christ is my heart. Because what it does is it actually adds a level of protection at your heart, which is what the devil's going for. And when the devil hits Jesus Christ is your heart, it gets blocked. So this is a really important protection to use. And again, I've been studying a lot of Christian spiritual warfare books because, again, the New Age was not prepared for this. There's nothing in the New Age that really teaches about how to defend against what we are up against now.
Well, this is what happened to me. So I got involved with I was a business coach and I was doing seminars on marketing and things like that because I had a very successful online business in the 2000s. And I got involved with some quite famous people and then I started doing talks around London and big places. And I met some people who then they were going through spiritual awakenings as well. And then they were becoming quite public about it. And I was being public about it. And I was talking about the nasty stuff. I was talking about the SRA. I was talking about the child trafficking. I was talking about all of this because I'd read all the books. And I'd met people and I had personal experiences of this as well. And I got told off. And I was constantly being told off by people saying, why are you focusing on all of that? Because this is an inside job. And I go, and that'd be like the big tell off, slap, Mark gets slapped with the inside job line. Right. And then I was like, if we don't know who the fucking enemy is, how the fuck are we supposed to beat it? Because I instinctively know, I was in the military when I was a kid. I've always had that in me. I understand war. That's also why I put at the Art of War Sun Tzu, although that is about war in the physical realm, in 3D human realm. I think people need to be aware of how complex it is, right? Because the other thing I'm seeing on social media is things like, why did Trump promote the vaccine? Why did this happen? Why did that? And because it's all confusing. General Flynn's a bad guy, and they're all fighting. It's the art of war. This is unconventional war. You can't let the enemy know. This is why dates are. You should never, ever listen to anybody who gives you a date of anything, because you're giving it away to the enemy.
Yeah, and the timeline shifts naturally. You give a time. If you give a time and day, then it shifts because you've given it and then you've affected the timeline. And you're absolutely right. I think complexity is the word. And you're right that people need to study the art of war to just open their mind to the idea of this is the complexity. Then you have to factor in that the enemy is not human and that it is horror that you're up against. And then once you understand that you're up against horror, because the art of war was against humans that had bodies and flesh and families, this does not have that. The human beings, pimp out their own kids. The level of evil. The main problem on this planet is innocence and ignorance. People are just so innocent. They're just like little children. They just don't imagine evil like this exists. But you see, once you've had a chance to process it, you don't have to live in a depressed state. What you notice about me and Mark is we know all the things that are going on, but we're actually quite happy over here. Why? Because we know what we can't change right now. We know what's in the past that we can't change, but we also know what is coming in the future, and we know our power, and we're able to have that trust and that faith. And so that is why, again, it's so important to be able for people in the new age to start recognizing the power of Jesus, while at the same time in the churches, people need to be aware of the demonic principalities that are sitting over a lot of Christianity that are of judgment and haughtiness being superiority. So if somebody is within the church and they feel superior because of what they do, you are actually suffering at the hands of a demonic entity. If you are in judgment of whether you like my dress or whether you like Mark's glasses, you are being possessed by a demonic entity. And a lot of the church, from what I know, and I'm far from an expert, I'm probably the furthest thing from an expert, I have to say, with regards to religion and church and Christianity. And that is that basically there is a lot of solutions. I think there's parts of the church that really specialize in spiritual warfare, and they really get it, and they get it about the gifted people, and they get it, and they get all this stuff. But there's these other sides that are really closed-minded. And, you know, like I said, one of my coaches is a pastor, and she got told off by a bunch of really high up leaders in the church saying that she had gone too new age because of her association with me. And yet I'm over here saying, everybody, please say Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. It's going to help you a lot if anything bad's happening.
Well, you know, being labeled is also a demonic thing, as you've just said. But I want to bring up something about the word Jesus, because I know people will be leaving comments, and there'll be people saying his real name was Jeshua. What do we do about that? Because for me, it's all about intention and connection to the Spirit.
Yes. Intention is what that's what God feels. God feels your intention. He isn't over there judging you on your spelling and your correct syllables and whether you spell the right they, there, or there. You know, he really doesn't care.
No, I mean, language is a trap in and of itself, but we transcend it. This is why I write poetry. We transcend it with the intention, and it doesn't matter about the spelling. It's all about the intention and that connection. But I've been saying very strongly, or I've been getting very strongly in the last, you know, I call this spiritual quarantine, this whole thing that we've been in, because we are being prepped for what's coming next. And I keep saying the same thing to people. They're going, all the conversations I'm having offline with people, I'm saying the same thing. And you just said the word. The whole thing is a test of faith. The whole thing is a test of your connection to God. You know, and Amelia, I was an atheist for 20 years after my dad died. I just couldn't believe how cruel the world was. But I never really lost the connection, and it's just got, over the last 10 years, it's got stronger and stronger and stronger. I never liked the church. I knew the Bible was doctored. You know, as a kid, I knew it was doctored, and that's why I'm surrounded by books, the books of Enoch and all of that stuff. And you know, because it's fascinating. But the actual connection. Anybody watching this, that, you know, I've been telling my kids this is a hologram for years, and they're going, "Shut up, Dada." And I'm saying, look, no, because when you realize it makes it even more amazing, you know. Mm-hmm. But look at us. We are extraordinary. We're an extraordinary creation. How can anybody not believe in God? How can anybody not have a connection with God? But they work so hard. You know, when Richard Dawkins brought out the God delusion and terrible things like that, people bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And loads of my friends who are big in the arts, famous people, comedians, poets, writers, musicians, they all fell for this bullshit. And I was shocked. Because the other thing I was shocked about is, like, I'm just a bloke in a kitchen. Why would anybody listen to me? And it was like, because you've got this connection, and
it's honest, it's truth. You know, everything at this time in history is about truth, and those that are speaking the truth, humans can feel truth. Truth is so much more than we think. Truth is everything, you know. It's so important. It's interesting what you said though about like that book and things like that. Something that I'm an expert on is the actual ego, the shadow. And when people were reading those books that were pulling their vibration down, the ego can actually give a burst of positive energy. A lot of people don't realize that the ego is so intelligent. It's as intelligent as the person it's in. And if you're a high IQ person, your ego is an arsehole. It's an MF, you know. And so the thing is that what happens is it's possible when you're going down the wrong path that you'll receive a boost, and that boost will what it will do is it'll make you feel like you're doing the right thing. It can provide a boost, and a lot of people just don't realize that. That's why I had a lady that was coming in to do my program. She was so specific on what she wanted to heal. Everything was completely in alignment with what she would do with us. And then straight away afterwards, 2 days later, she said, yeah, I've been praying on it for 2 days, and now I'm going to go in this direction. And the direction she was going in made no sense to what she'd said her goals were. So first of all, I was like, that wasn't praying. And what you were hearing from was not of your highest good. And this direction you're going in is not going to help you. The difference is after she made that decision, she got this high, and this high tricked her into thinking she'd made the right decision. Whereas in fact, when she made the right decision, she felt this influx of excitement, but she interpreted it as fear. And so this is the thing. This is why it's so important that everyone comes in and closes up their wounds now, because the example I give is it's like a lake when you've got cuts on your arms. If it's a dirty lake and you've got open wounds, you are going to get sick from swimming in it. But if you're healed and you swim in the lake, you're fine. So you have to understand the darkness comes in through your wounds. And some of those wounds are things you think you've healed, people you think you've forgiven. And some of it's generational stuff that's been there since the day you were born. Your ego's been with you always. That's why when people try and tell you to identify between your ego, identify between love and fear, it's really a really, really hard thing to do. But if you've actually gone in and done the work and starved the ego so it's now incapacitated, it's actually easier to now decide between the two, because one of them's slurring. So that's the difference, is that you can actually change the battle. There's an internal boxing match, and it's that person is your ego is your equal opponent. It's you against you. But you can weaken it. And that's the bit that that's the new piece of information that I'm trying to bring through, is you can weaken it. You can change the game. You can change the internal environment. And then the other thing you were saying about, everybody being like, is this person good? Is this person right? What's this? What's that? Everyone wants it literally to be, it's like imagine if your exams were like multiple choice, but there was only A and B.
Yeah.
That's how people want life to be. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it good or is it bad? Whereas in reality, the answer is a complex text like this long, that's the reality. And I just think a lot of people really want things to be simple, and we can't make them simple.
That's why we're going through spiritual quarantine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we're doing all of this. So ego works a bit like coffee and ecstasy. Feels good. But it's not, ecstasy is taking away from your serotonin tank. Coffee is stealing energy and making it so you don't realize that you're tired. You can't feel it. So it lies to you. So it's, my ego got bashed out of me by God. But I did find magic mushrooms helped a lot as well.
Yeah, everybody has different techniques, and that's what's so important about us now. It's like there's these spiritual leaders and teachers that separated away, had our time alone, we went into our cave, we did what we needed to do, and now we're back and we're here to teach certain sections of the population. It's like a pizza with different slices. Like I'm here for this slice. I mainly work with women over 35 that are like family orientated, career women that are married or have kids, and they have a whole thing going on, and they're in a really good space, and they're actually really good. They just know they could be even better, and they know that they're supposed to be working on some level in their divine purpose, probably to do with the healing centers. So that's my section. So for my section, there's steps for them to take. Your section is open to completely different things to get the same result. Yeah. And that's how this works. And so the magic of what's happening now is the crust of the pizza, being the teachers and the leaders. We're coming together so that then we fill out our pizza slices, and eventually we end up with the whole thing. In fact, I'll switch from pizza and we'll go to cake, because pizza has too many associations. But yes, but it's like the cake. And we're working our way in till we get to the big cherry in the middle. And that's what we will get to once we all have taught who we're meant to teach. But at the same time, us coming together is how we speed up the process, because I'll have people that will come and see Mark and be like, oh my God, I need to know more about Mark. Mark is how I'm going to heal, and vice versa. And this is how we do this. By not, there's no competition. my gosh, I can't heal everybody. You can't heal everybody. It's just not what we're here to do. We're here for a specific group, and that group just feel the calling. They feel the calling and they're ready to do the work. But it's tough. It's tough. And but then when you get out the other side of it, it's amazing, and your internal environment has changed, and you don't have to do the push me, pull me anymore. You don't have to, I'm going to think positive today. Oh, I'm not going to listen to my ego. No, but the volume's been turned down so low that you can't, he only shows up when you're tired, sick, or hungry now.
Yeah, I've been calling it frequency matching all the way through. There lots of different people out there talking truth, and you find the right one when you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
The right one for you when you're ready, because it is all we are. I said this at the event with Charlie in Birmingham on stage. I said that it's interesting how one of the insults that gets thrown from the demonic side is that these guys are all working together as a team, and I'm like, why is that a bad thing? Is that because they really think that there's an organized group of grifters that are just like, but I said not, because I've been behind the scenes for 2 years with all of these guys, and it all just organically happened.
Yes.
And and people like, you've been on the same team as me, but we've never spoken.
Yeah.
But
And
right.
The team actually is one of the great ways for all the people out there that are feeling a little bit lost and confused and not sure who to believe or what to believe. The team actually gives you the answer. If you go on here and you see me and Mark together, and then you see me with Lucy, see me with Alpa, you can be like, okay, because I tell you what, there isn't some secret organizing person out there in the world that shifts and moves us together. This happens. There's God, but what I mean is there's not an actual human down here that's like, oh, let's place these people together, let's do this. And so what I mean by that is that we organically, as highly intuitive, highly happy, highly evolved, highly intelligent beings, we actually have to vibes with each other to even get here. If I contacted Mark and was like, hi, Mark, at this, and I was just talking a whole load of shit, he'd be like, yeah, nice, Lucy, why are you treating this girl? What I'm saying is we vibes with each other, our energies match. So when you see me with Charlie in Nashville last week, and with Mark today and everything like that, you can see the team energy. And the same way, if someone appears to have left the team and is no longer associating with the team, that can give you a little bit of a warning sign, because the team, we're all energy based. We fuck with people we want to fuck with. We hang out with people we want to hang out with. We're this special, unique group of people where what we do for a living is we chat and giggle and share truth and scary stuff that other people are too scared to say. We're all this but we're completely different, but we have this same job. And when you do that job, you become very selective of who you associate with, who you hang out with, and who you even text and reply or talk on the phone with. So the team gives you an answer. So that for anyone who's got questions, if you have a question about someone, have a look which members of the team have been messing with them, and if no one's been messing with them for a while. Now, they might be having a rest. They might just be in Costa Rica with their feet up, and that's cool, But the point is the team does give some idea of where their headspace is, and the fact that there is, I think you can give me better words for this, but it's like that there is a way of being able to show there's a positive peer thing going on here. Yeah,
and it's not, at the same time, it's not always perfect.
No.
Because people, this has been going on a long time, 2 years. People will fall out. People will disagree about stuff. That's okay. We're human.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but again, in these times when people try and want to have some kind of little indicator, and being shown like a stick where you go look for water, if you want some kind of indicator, it's like I was on tour with Robert David Steele, God bless his soul, before he passed, and then I was at the table the other day, and the guy that owns one of the Patriot channels mentioned Robert David Steele, and I got up and showed him pictures of me and Robert together, and it is a family. It's a family. And so, squabbles happen, things fall out. But generally, if you're wondering whether someone's gone over to the other side or not, just know that if somebody really does, you'll see them separate from the friendly family quite often. It's a good indicator. And then I think friendly family is a way of describing it. The friendly freedom family.
FFF.
Yeah.
3F. F3.
Oh, there was something, you mentioned Jesus. I was told that in Area 51, when the alien plane crashed because it wanted to there, or was sent to crash there, that if someone visits there, they're not allowed to say the J word, the Jesus word, because it actually causes problems on the camp. So that's just something interesting for people to know.
Why? What problems does it cause?
Well, because again, there's a lot of demonic stuff there, and the demons don't like that name. It affects them. So I'm just saying, you're not allowed to even say it in jest or in like, oh, Jesus Christ, I hurt my hand. Like, you know, you actually sign something to say, if you visit Area 51 and you have clearance and you go down into the stuff, if you say the word Jesus, you're not allowed. You sign a thing that says you will not say his name. So for anyone who's like, oh, I don't know about the power of his name, I'm just saying in Area 51, you're not allowed to say it.
Mind you, Amelia, the chances of anybody watching this getting the pass to go into Area 51 are very, very slim.
It's slim, but it does show that there is something to it, doesn't it? What was
there is 100%. I've used it myself. I use it, that word. It's very, very, very powerful.
What were some of those things you wrote down, Mark? I know you wrote some bits down.
Yeah. Oh, you're a professional. Segue back to the beginning. So it's interesting that you said, firstly, the three things, you talked about the tarot, portals for dark energy. You talked about presence in the house having portals, and you talked about the enemy being in the 6th dimension. I wanted to dig into all of those a little bit, because the enemy in the 6th dimension. Do carry on with that one.
If you don't mind, I'll do it in reverse, because then it sort of builds up for people that are a little bit sensitive. So presence, I would suggest everybody just take a look at the contents of their house.
I had loads when I started this channel. I was getting it all the time.
I'm telling you, because when I moved house, the amount of books that had been sent to me from people that I know that had written a book, everyone sends me their book. And I went through a phase of reading 1,000 books during 4 years when my body was a torture chamber and I was trying to figure out how to heal myself. So I'm a reader, but I haven't been reading lately, not so much. It's very selective. So I had all these books, and I was just like, when I felt the energy of each one individually, I was like, why is this here? I didn't ask this. I don't want it. And some of them I put in storage and some I threw away. And so going through your jewelry, if you're a woman, go through your jewelry. And you find little evil eye things as well, things like that. Portals, it's all portals. You know, I bought a dress. It was a really expensive dress. I bought it in Miami a couple of years ago. It had the evil eyes hanging off the strap. So I was like, got my pliers out and snapped it off. The point is that be aware of your belongings, because those belongings, if you had something from an ex-boyfriend, but it also could just be some random thing that someone gave you in the street. Just do a real go through of everything you own, guys, and make sure that the energy attached to it is the one you want, because you are by bringing, you see, a lot of people don't realize this. I've been learning this a lot from my advisor, but in heaven, there is a law court, and a lot of this stuff between light and dark, good and evil, works on a legal system. And so if you've legally allowed that person access to your house because you've legally allowed that thing into the house, and now the thing is in the house, you are allowing that energy in. So it's understanding that there is a legality, and that if you have given permission, you might need to do a prayer to pull back these permissions as well. So that's about like presents and gifts, and it's everybody watching will probably have some things in the house that they probably are like, yeah, that needs to go. Tarot.
Hang on, can I ask you a question? Some people watching this will be saying, well, how do I know if the energy is good or bad? And I was just going to suggest muscle testing is a really good way of doing that. Would you agree?
Yes. I have a cranial sacral lady, this old lady with long white hair. And if I do have a question, she can test my body and get answers. And she won't even let me speak the questions out loud because she doesn't want to impact the answers. So muscle testing is a yes. But some people, and myself, I'm one of them, my muscle testing that I do myself is also been disrupted and interrupted, and it's not accurate. There's no, can't do yes, no papers, can't do push me forward, pull me back. Just, it's not for anything important. Just can't do it, because again, it was the goal of all this stuff was to lull you into a false sense of trust with these different techniques, so that when the time came for them to be abused and used against you, you would fuck up. That was the whole point of them. So they had to be accurate for a while. Now, I have a chiropractor that does energy testing on me. When you have an expert doing it on you and you don't even understand how they're doing it, I think it's harder for the enemy to interrupt it. He does it medically. He does stuff to check what your body needs and stuff. And so it's really clever. So that stuff doesn't seem to be interrupted. So you just have to outsmart it. Does that answer your question?
It does for me. I'm just wondering if the viewers, if I want to give them something practical and free that they can do to help them.
This is why I say prayer, really, because the thing is, God is within you. You're your own guru. That's why I say I call myself a happiness guru. I'm called the happiness guru, but that's because I'm teaching people to become their own guru. Because a guru can teach you to be a guru if they want to. Most gurus want to stay above everybody else and think that there's something special. No, I just want you to be able to do what I can do. So that's why prayer is so important. If you need to know about something, pray on it, and then be patient and wait for the answer and be in a state of listening, and you will hear the answer, as long as you don't go into fear and disrupt the connection. So prayer, and and if something is difficult and you feel like you can't handle it or you don't know what to do about it, literally give it to God. Say, God, I give this to you. And then I guarantee in my life, it happens really fast. I give things to God, the next day, everything shifts again and it changes. So it's utilizing the power of God, understanding the power of Jesus's name and being able to use it in prayer. And this will actually, and again, I'm from England. I'm like you, in England, like in my generation and my friends, we didn't even ever go in a church. Like I think I was originally Catholic. Like from a baby, we would only go to midnight mass on Christmas Eve as kids so we could stay up late. Like that was the extent of my religious background. So I'm not coming as, I think that's one of the reasons why they can't try and pin me as some religious zealot or whatever, because I don't actually know shit. But I have this amazing connection with God, and I know that prayer works and prayer shifts things. And so, yeah.
The last time I went to a midnight mass at a church was Salisbury Cathedral in 1989, and I met the devil in the graveyard.
Fun! Well, that was fun. See, you selected different gifts before you came down into your sleeve. One of the things is I chose not to see in the physical in this lifetime. I think because obviously I was Joan of Arc previously and I could see a lot of shit. I could hear a lot of shit and see a lot of shit. This time I'm like, I don't want it. So that's why when I'm walking down the corridor and my dog's snapping at things in my arms, I can just smile because I don't have to see the ugly shit. I chose not to see it, and that's always fascinating to me, the other people that are on the same journey as me, but with different skill sets for their people, because you can help those people in a different way than I can. I can see and hear sorry, I have to say those words clearly. I can see in here, not see and hear, see in here, steps 1, 2, 3, and 10 of whatever's going to happen in any scenario, but I have no idea what happens from 4 through to 9. Just no.
Cool.
So if you're meeting him in person, I went down and fought him, but it was happening it wasn't the same. I don't walk down the street and see stuff, and I'm really grateful for that. And I have great respect for you doing, for you to be able to have chosen that gift even. That took a lot of balls to choose that gift.
Yeah, it's been said.
Whereas people are like, for a woman, Amelia, like you're calling out this stuff, I feel like I just wanted to mention something really funny that hopefully this will make people laugh. Because sometimes as spiritual teachers and guru, people can start thinking, oh, you know, you think so much of yourself and all this stuff. And actually I do. I think a lot of myself, and Mark thinks a lot of his stuff. It's called self-love, you know, and if it triggers you, then that shows you that there's some stuff in you that needs to be fixed. But I wanted to share with you guys that this last few weeks, I've been watching the TV show Alone on Netflix. And it's all about people being dropped off in the most hazardous conditions. These are like survival experts. They have like 15 tools and they have to build a cabin, light fires, catch fish, and be surrounded by predators like grizzly bears. And it's just been really interesting to me and fascinating. It's been like my favorite show. And it's like what people be like, I would not expect Amelia with her YSL bags and, you know, and her sparkly earrings to be wanting to watch these survivors skinning hares. But here's why. Because I'm the best at what I do. But when I watch that, I'm like, I ain't shit. I ain't shit. I can't do any of what these people do. And I think Kanye West probably needs to watch Alone too, for the same reason. Yes, you can make great beats and write great lyrics, but really you ain't shit. Why? Because you can't make a fire. You can't survive on your own. What kind of human are you? You know? And so I just think it's funny that it's like that this shows like it's like you can be great at one aspect, but as soon as anyone starts building someone up to thinking that they're more than they are, no, I could not, like literally, I could not do anything. I wouldn't even get off the boat. They'd be like, yeah, this is where you're getting off. I'd be like, no, I'm good, thank you. Can I go home? Where's the hotel? I think going to a hotel's roughing it.
Well, I did loads of survival exercises in the RAF, and we were dropped off in the middle of nowhere on multiple occasions, and skinning rabbits and all that kind of stuff. I love all that stuff.
Yes, I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like,
you know, I'm not a happiness guru.
And that's why how this is why it's all so important how we all just put it all together. But back to your question, so you had tarot. The tarot has certain symbols on it. Symbolism, isn't that something Q said?
Symbolism will be their downfall.
Yes, that's interesting. Yeah, because I'm not, you know, that's not normally something I quote from, but it's so true. Okay, so in terms of basically the swastika, or if I'm probably saying it wrong, from Nazi Germany. That's the original peace sign.
It's a good symbol.
That's the peace sign. The peace sign that we all see on our clothing and around the place, that shit's evil. So you got a piece of clothing with a peace sign on it, you want to like cut it off, paint over it, or throw it the fuck away. Because this is how they've done it. They've inverted. And you see symbolism actually is important. It encodes your mind. And so what happens is the tarot cards, obviously the devil card, but even just the pentacles with the 5-pointed star and all the stuff, this is magic. This is witchcraft. And so what's happened in New Age is there's been this whole push as well for people, for women, I have to be careful how I say this, my angels said, only because they don't want me to, hold on, let me think how to say it. So women, there's a thing to try and push women into identifying as witches. Where they're actually saying, I am I can't say it because if I say it, then I'm owning it. And so, and softening the edge of that. And so the reality, though, is the witchcraft that you see, the enemy is of Satanism, and it utilizes witchcraft. So the more you embrace or are softened against witchcraft, the more you are susceptible to it. And so that's been a trend to do that, is for people to just get, you know, to get to a point where, whereas I completely rebuke it, I will not have that word around me. I will not associate with that word. That word is not for me. And at the same time, I really like Harry Potter movies. So that's my internal struggle. But, but the thing is we have to be aware of how much we're being manipulated.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a very long time. I got a vision years ago walking through London, actually. The symbols that are all around us all the time. You said it. What did you say went into your mind? What I got was that every symbol carries a frequency. It's like sigil magic, right? Carries a frequency, is beamed into us. We are the creator beings. They are one thing I want to say to everybody about the demonics is that they have no imagination. They have no creator ability. They can imitate, they can manipulate, they lie and cheat and do all of that stuff, but they can't create. We're the creators.
Yeah.
So they literally use us to create the world that they want. that's basically their farm. So what they've done is created a farm with us as the farm animals, and it's been going on for a very long time, but we're about to break free of all of that. But I wanted to share this as well, because I've shared this a few times on my show, but everybody watching this, go to this website called Vigilant Citizen. I've been reading this website for 10 years.
Oh, I used to watch that years ago, like 2011, I think even. Yes.
Yeah, and this is where it's a phenomenal website that goes into
all the celebrity stuff, because that's what you just said. They can't create. So the people that have genuine creative skills, which is artists, that's why they have to get the artists to sign themselves in blood. Look, there are the different symbols and things. That's why they have to get them to sign their souls over so that they can create the entertainment industry. And so this is just, yes, I'm so glad you pulled this up. I was very familiar with this. It may have been 2011. I'm picturing where I was living when I looked at this a lot. I used to be listening to a lot of Sean Stone, who's now ended up being a great friend, and I was watching a lot of Simon Parks then, and he's obviously now as well. We're going to run all the healing centers in out here in America together, and now I'm like watching this, and I'm like, my God, yeah. For those that haven't been aware of this stuff, you have to. But here's what I will say to people, especially the girls, you know, watch this stuff in the morning and then do some fun stuff and watch some lighthearted stuff afterwards, you know, because you are earth angels and you got good, pure hearts. And, you know, Mark is a different breed. And I did have nightmares back when I used to watch all this stuff in 2009 when I studied the dark, but I just knew that I had to do it. And when I got out the other side, I didn't have to really look at too much more after that. But yes, understanding how different we are as well, guys. So don't feel like if you go and look at this stuff and you feel sad and stressed afterwards, like there's something wrong with you. No, you are here to live in a beautiful, kind community surrounded with people that smile and love you and would happily want to feed you and look after you and hug you. This is what you were born down here to live in that world. And that's why you are here to create that world. So don't be worried about being sensitive. At the same time, do not allow yourselves to not fight and don't avoid conflict. Walk into conflict, because we got a battle ahead just to get through this bit, but then everything's going to be nice after that.
It is. That's a perfect note to end this chat on. Thank you, Amelia.
Thank you. Are we out of time, or did you want me to touch on the sixth dimension?
Oh no, yeah, I forgot about that. Do the
yeah.
So I just thought that was such a lovely.
Yeah, it was nice. It did have that
to end on. I don't know how you're going to top that now.
Yeah. So basically, so Anu, not many people want to call him by name. You don't have to, guys. I just did because I'm like, fuck it. But he's in the sixth. The fifth has gotten a little polluted, just a little. That's why we're still battling. Even those that live in a fifth mind frame are still battling. It's because the warfare has shifted. Things have changed. There were so many of us that came down here to battle, and so many took the free will to fuck up and moved off the golden righteous path and moved over and got distracted and went off the false paths and you know got distracted and pulled away. So there's less of us now, and so we're all having to collect more and more missions. We're all having to have more and more divine purposes that are being added. But it's so things are shifting. The timeline is changing. Things are shifting. But basically, he exists in sixth, but he only gets to stay there from the loosh, which is the fear and the pain that he's drawing off of the humans and the animals here on Earth. And so once we stop the loosh, once we stop the pain, he will not be able to exist there anymore, and he will fall. And so the enemy is in sixth. So that is why what got you from third to fourth with your pendulums and your tarot cards and stuff, that stuff's now working against you, because in fifth has gotten slightly polluted and the enemy is in sixth. And before, you were just fighting low-level fourth dimensional darkness, which is kind of like the baby, like the nursery school, kindergarten kind of level darkness. That's what, so a lot of people successfully battled that level of darkness, and they thought they were a G. They're like, yeah, I got this. I'm good. And in reality, that was just the warm-up. The real one that we're fighting is coming from sixth, and that is why you've got to have your wounds healed, because you will be manipulated by these telepathic, interdimensional negative beings that are floating around all of us. You can get them out of your house, but they'll creep back in. You have to keep getting them out. And they're around us all the time. And if you're exposing yourself to alcohol, having sex with strangers with bad energy and all this sort of stuff, you're really getting yourself polluted and making it so that these things can attach to you and be around you. So it's not something to fear. You know, a good frankincense and salt bath dunking your head under and playing some worship music or some gospel or some classical music can do the world of good to clear out your environment if you need it. Keeping yourself clean, your environment clean, and being very, very aware. Oh yeah, being very, very aware of you know, who's around.
All evil.
Yeah. So there's ways around all of this, guys, but you know, it's a process, and we're here, and we're here for you guys. Yes, and look, we have the archangels, but again, some of the archangels, just one last thing. There's people trying to pretend to be the reincarnation of certain souls. I need to just address this because it's important. They may have had a vessel strong enough to hold that particular archangel. Okay, they may have, but nobody down here gets to. It's like you get offered a job. It can still get retracted. You can be in the job, you can get fired, and then they find someone better and an upgrade to do it better than you because you fucked up. Please understand, guys, that there are some really powerful vessels down here, like Mark, like myself, like Lucy. You know, there's some powerful vessels down here, and there's some other people of similar power to us, and there's a battle for us. And if that battle gets won, that really affects, you know, you then have some pretty powerful people working against humanity. The same way you have people saying, oh, I am the reincarnation of blah, blah, blah. Well, you could have been, or you could have had the potential to be, but it's not your right. You have to walk the righteous, golden, narrow path to keep your role. If you're walking it, and this is one of the reasons why Mark at the beginning said it's really important to know who you are. I realized if you know who you are and you had quite a big role in history, it makes you not get intimidated about what you're doing now. You're like, well, shit, I did that last time. I can do this shit. And that's the point. So it's a good thing from that point of view. But I just want people to understand that if someone says that they are someone, it's quite unlikely to be true, but it's not completely impossible. But you'll know whether it's true because not only will they be that person, they'll be acting like them.
Yeah.
Because if you're not acting like him or her, then you're not. You've lost it. You've now fallen over. Lucifer's in charge now.
Yeah, it's the old ego thing as well. You wouldn't believe the amount of people who've written to me saying that they are the reincarnation of Christ. I've had thousands.
Oh, but also Archangel Michael, this and that, and this and that, and this and that. And the reality is that what God started doing now is a lot of people are getting really overloaded with too many missions, and so they've actually started splitting the codes. So now there's codes split between different people and stuff, and codes are jumping. When someone important falls off the path, those codes get jumped. And that's the thing I was going to talk to you about just afterwards when we get off camera, because I was just shown some of the codes that have changed and to do with that guy and all those things. So, but yeah.
Cool.
It's been fun, Mark.
Well, that was a really edifying chat. Thank you.
It really was. So I hope we can do it again soon. That was lovely. I really enjoyed that.
We can. So did I. Thank you very much, Amelia. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Keep yourself cheerful. Do what I do. Tell dad jokes. See you later.
Lots of love.